contact object, and the data type needs to be currency, and the name of the field is going to be loan amount. So let's go ahead into our trailhead that I opened up in this window, and this quick find box over here is what you're going to use the most in setup, because you usually know what you're looking for. So in this case, I'm going to work with the contact object. And most of the time, you know, you're working with one object at a time and you know what you're looking for. So you can either use this quick find box here and just start typing contact. Okay, so never mind, don't do that. Go to this object manager here. This is what you're going to be working with the most. Click that and you see all the objects, all the folders that are listed for your Salesforce organization. So right now it's just all the default ones, all the standard objects that come with, out of the box, come with Salesforce. And this is just like a dummy organization, this Trailhead Playground that automatically got made. So we want to work with the contact object. So you just scroll down, click on contact, and then fields and relationships, because we want to add a field. And most of the time you're going to be working with fields and relationships or page layouts. Okay, so now come over here and you just click new, because we want to create a new field. This is a list of all the fields that already exist. Their name is over here. This is their programmatic name, their API name. If you were a programmer, this is how you would access this field. And these are the data types. So you'll see in a second. Go ahead and click new. And it said we want to create a field of type currency. So here's all the different data types. When you create a field, it makes you select a data type. So let's go ahead and select currency here. And that just means we know this field is going to deal with money, because it's the label, what it wants us to call it, is loan amount. That's what this field is going to represent. So you got all these different relationships, and we'll get into them as we go along and go through these challenges and have to create different types of fields. But just as a kind of brief, you have a couple different types, and you're familiar with all of them. You've had them all before. So if you've ever filled out like an online form, you filled out fields. You put information into these little boxes. So if you've ever like bought a car online or searched for a car, can't think of a good example right now, or use some kind of little drop down menu on an online form, that was a pick list field. So you'll see this is a pick list field, and it says allows users to select a value from a list you define. So if you're buying a car, you would click, if it asks you for the make of the car, you click the drop down list and it would have like Chevrolet, Toyota, Kia, all these other ones on there. Yeah, that's just one example. There's plenty of them. But that's where you can only select one option. In a multi-select pick list would be if you could select multiple makes. So if you're searching for a car, it's not asking you what's the make of your car. If you're searching for a car and you say, oh, I want to look at Toyotas and Kias, or just more than one, it would let you select multiple options from the pick list. So that's a multi-select pick list field. And then of course, text is pretty self-explanatory. Text area, area long, these just deal with how many characters are going to be in there. You got time fields. Numbers are just regular numbers. So if it asks you like a count of something, like in the police probably have a database, and one of their fields in there probably says how many times you've been pulled over or something like that. So that would be a number field. And that's just a number. You've got geolocation, latitude, and longitude fields, a field that's specific to emails. You've got percent field, phone number field, and date time. This will pull up like a little calendar for you to select a date. This one is just date without the time. Currency, like we said, is money. Checkbox is, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just a checkbox. You know, if you're filling out an online form and it asks, are you with the military? yes or no. That's a checkbox field, or a yes/no field. And then you got some other more advanced ones up here, like a formula field, which you can use to base off of other fields and create a formula. All right, so let's go ahead and create this field. It asks us to do a currency field, and it asks us to call it loan amount. So let's go back here. We got currency selected. Go ahead, click next. And the field label is just what you want to call the field. Loan amount. And then this other stuff isn't too important right now. We'll get into it later. It's kind of self-explanatory. So just go ahead and click next through all this stuff and just go ahead and hit save. We'll get into the other stuff in later episodes, later videos. Okay, so now if we go through this list, you can see loan amount is now there. So we just created that. So now this is the back end, this setup that we're in. It says setup up here. This is the back end, what you'll use as an administrator to set up your Salesforce organization and modify it and all this other stuff. So if you go, click this little app launcher icon and just click any of these. We'll go ahead and click sales. It takes you into the actual Salesforce. So at the top, we want to find our contact object right here. Now, you can see that our loan amount is right here. So we just created that. That wasn't there before. I probably should have showed you that before we did this, but trust me, that box was not there. We just created that. So we don't actually want to create a contact now, so we'll just close that. So then, after you complete the challenge, just hit check challenge here, and it links to that dummy organization you just made, checks that that field exists, and if it exists the correct way, it'll give you a little message. So we just finished that lesson. I just click go ahead to the next one. So if we go all the way back out, admin beginner trail, you'll see that we're 3% of the way done. We already completed this first little class, and now we're on to the next one. So, discover use cases for the platform. Like I said, start thinking about, like throughout your day, think about ways that objects and fields and records could apply to everything that you're doing. Just try and apply it to different things. So try and apply it to every business you pass on the road. See if it would be a viable thing for them to use in their company. So like I go to the chiropractor sometimes, and he could have a folder, or I could create an object for him in Salesforce that says patients, and he could have a digital record of all of his patients, and I could put different fields on there, like did their back hurt today, did their neck hurt today, did their lower back hurt today, and things like that. Or I could have a field that just says area of pain or something, and have a couple options like low back, mid back, upper back, or you could get more specific with their specific vertebrae or something. Another example would be the dentist. They could have a multi-select pick list field of teeth to check or something, and you could just open up that list and mark off everyone that you think might have a cavity or something like that. Yeah, just start thinking about different ways you could apply this stuff. All right, so it can be used in a lot of different departments: IT, HR, human resources, sales, finance, all kinds of different places. So just go through this one. There's lots of use cases. Read through this. Let's see, when identifying processes to bring into Salesforce, look for manual processes with numerous steps, because Salesforce is going to be all about automation. The great thing that instead of having these actual files and physical files and stuff, because it's digital, we can use all these advanced formulas and stuff just by clicking our mouse. We don't have to do any programming or anything. And we can use all these advanced little formulas to relate our folders together. So that's why it's called a relational database. we can automate a lot of stuff because they're related to each other. So let's make an example of this. Let's go back to the doctor example. So let's say there's a family and they've got 2 parents and 3 kids or something. And they have, so my last name is Brady. Let's say my parents have the Brady account at the doctor's office. So we all have the same billing information. We all live at the same address. We don't, but let's just say it was a long time ago. We all live at the same address, and we all have the same last name, things like that. So the billing information is going to be constant throughout the account. And then within the account, you'll have each patient. So there's going to be me, my mom, my brothers, and we're all going to be under this overarching account. So we're going to be like 5 contacts inside of the account folder. So the account folder has its record with just our account. And then within that record, it has 5 children records, which are contacts. So all of us are related to this single account, the Brady account, the Brady family account, with the same billing information and same address and stuff like that. So back to the relationship thing. So let's say our billing information changes, and they update the billing information on our account. It'll update that for all the contacts as well. Yeah, so that's one example of relational database. There's a lot of other examples we'll get into, but with all of these things, you can automate these processes. So instead of, the billing information changes and somebody that works at the hospital has to go in and write on every one of our contacts manually that our billing information has changed or something has changed, they just do it on one and automatically does it to others. This isn't the best example, I'm sorry, but more examples will come up as we go along. I'm going to try and keep the video moving though. So manual processes with numerous steps. That's something we want to use in Salesforce because we want to be able to automate things. So that's a company with lots of manual processes and numerous steps could use Salesforce because it has the ability to automate things. Email-driven processes, you have the ability to automatically send emails when things happen. They're like little triggers. You can create a trigger or a process of some sort to say, hey, if the billing information changes, or if, let's say, it's my birthday or something, they have my birth date at the hospital and they want to send me an email saying, happy birthday, we're thinking about you. They can just automate that. They can say, hey, when his birthday comes around, send him an email. So let's see, teams using spreadsheets to run the business. Yes, so Salesforce is basically like spreadsheets, but in a more user-friendly interface. Yeah, so I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. Documents shared on local directories. Yes, so local directories means documents shared on your computer, but Salesforce is on the internet in the cloud. Which just means it's on the internet, stored somewhere else, instead of directly on your computer. But as long as you have internet access, you have access to your data. So this is saying that everyone can share everything, so they don't have to come over. You don't have to email them a file from your computer to your coworker because everybody has access to the same data in the cloud on a database server somewhere over there in California or whatever, where Salesforce is located. So this is going to be all of the above, this first one. So let's go ahead and take a look at, just give an example of how this relates to